Hey everyone, David here with a new figure review. You guys know that I love me some Spider-Man. I really don't care for Andrew Garfield, but I will be owning a good majority of the cinematic Spider-Man in figure form. I already got a handful of the Tobey Maguire figures, so I think the next step in the process is to be getting a Tom Holland specific Spider-Man figure. And the good folks over at S.H. Figuarts were able to craft a super articulated version of that Spider-Man. So, very stoked for this, managed to get it. And before I jump into the review, I wanted to show off the box, show how welcoming this packaging is. It's a little on the thinner side than I was anticipating, but I like how they take advantage of their space here by showing a very large photo here of Spider-Man in the pose that you can put him in, along with the Spider-Man Homecoming decal, windows to showcase the figure inside, as well as lettering, company logos, and a nice little description here of what S.H. Figuarts is all about, which I thought was a little nifty. Let me focus on that very quick, and I'm just gonna read it real briefly. S.H. Figuarts is a new standard figure series that incorporates the Bandai action figure art under the theme pursuing character expression through humanoid action. I that still kind of doesn't break down what SH in SH Figuarts means, but all right, I'll take it, I guess. Alrighty, so let me just adjust the focus once more. Get it to be as sharp as possible again. Okay, there we go. So you saw the front there. The top doesn't really show an awful lot, except wraparounds of those windows and the logo. Underneath, just a picture of Spidey as well as Spider-Man Homecoming, so UPC codes. On the sides, not much. Again, nothing there. And then on the other side, there is a rather nifty little image of Spidey right there, posing rather cool. But then you get to the back, and you get a little showcase of what it comes with. You got Spidey, again, in a variety of poses here. Very surprised by the inclusion of different types of webbing. I mean, I knew it came with webbing. I just didn't know that there were going to be different variety versions of said webbing, so you could pose them with them. As well as this wall that I didn't know it came with. I'm just surprised by the amount of assembly is being foreshadowed here, so, interesting there. Once again, a little description of S.H. Figuarts and what it's all about right there. Spider-Man Homecoming. And then pictures right here showcasing the accessories as well as the different eyes that you could put on the figure. So I'm looking forward to that. One thing that I wanted to kind of note is that down here at the bottom, it's very tiny. You're going to need a fucking magnifying glass for this. There's a little asterisk saying, product may differ from photo. Little alarming, people. S.H. Figuarts, just a little alarming. I'm hoping that I'm going to be dealt with a really satisfying product. So, please don't let me down. Without further ado, let's just go ahead and crack open this bad box and see what awaits us inside. Alright, so here we have Spider-Man from the Spider-Man Homecoming S.H. Figuarts set. As you can see, they spare no expense when it comes to packing this figure with everything that they got. But before we get into all of that, I really do want to talk about the figure itself, because the detail on the costume is actually pretty damn good. I will say the only little qualm I have is maybe that the molding around the head could be a little shrunk. I just feel like his head might just be a little bit on the bigger side in terms of proportions matching his body, but that just might be me. I don't know what it is, but there's something about the look of his head versus the rest of his head, the rest of his body, that just looks mildly iffy, and I really do mean mildly. Besides that, the detail on the costume, the little rivets, the lining, everything that went into the design of the costume itself that we had for the new version of Spider-Man to join the MCU is pretty much right there. But when it comes to S.H. Figuarts and their figures that they release, the one thing that they're known for is taking really small 6-inch figures here and just packing them to the brim with articulation, making them one of the most posable figures that are out there in the market, and it's actually rather ridiculous. And who better to do it with than to do it with the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man right here. As you can tell, there's so many breakaways and sections of the figure where it looks like he can pose and bend and twist and turn, and that's really appropriate for a character like Spider-Man, because you want to put him in those variety of poses. Very reminiscent of the John Romita comics, the Stan Lee and Steve Ditko comics, all of those different art styles and interpretations of the character. You want to be able to pose him in that way, and I feel like with this figure, you can do that. So as always, let's start from top to bottom. You have the head right here that rotates fully 360 degrees, and then we actually have a pivot joint right here at the bottom of the neck, so he's actually able to tilt up and down rather reachingly, so that's pretty cool. As you can kind of see right there from the get-go, he's got a mid-point articulation right here in the torso. It's a little stiff, so it might be a little scary, and I feel like some plastic is kind of bending inside there, so you might want to be careful, but it does allow for some really free movement, especially going up and down like so. Then tackling the shoulders, there's an awful lot of dividance right there, and that makes up for some really great articulation here in the shoulders, where you got not only one but two joints. You got some free movement there, as well as the obligatory ball joint in the shoulder that allows the shoulders to be rotated 360 degrees vertically, as well as move up or down. A little limited in terms of how it can move horizontally, but I'll make do with that. And then you got two joints at the elbow that allow fully bendable positions like so. And then you got, of course, a ball joint here in the wrist that allows full 360 rotation, as well as bending inwards and outwards of the wrist. And of course, the same goes for the other arm as well. So we don't really need to talk about that. Another joint here in the waist that allows some movement. Again, slightly limited only because it just feels like it's tugging at plastic. So you might want to be careful there. I feel like that could have been an issue remedied in a slightly larger, bigger figure, like an 8-inch figure or maybe even a 12-inch figure, but I digress. Then we're moving to the top of the legs here, and you can see much more dividance here at the top, just like we do in the shoulders, where we got a joint that allows the leg to be moved backwards and forwards like so, another joint to allow the legs to split open like that, and then another one to bend right there at the very top to swivel and pivot the leg all the way around if we could. I don't want to try it, I don't want to force it. Rule number 1 or number 2, or the top 5 rules of toy collecting: don't force anything that feels like it shouldn't be forced. So treasure your figures. But an awful lot of range and movement going on here at the top of the leg. That's very, very appreciated. Then at the midway point here, we got, of course, 2 obligatory joints in the knee that allow for full posability there. And then we got a ball joint here at the ankle that allows pivoting of inwards and outwards mobility, as well as, of course, full 360 rotation, and then bending of the knee, bending of the ankle upwards and downwards like that. So yeah, articulation is pretty badass, making for an enormous amount of possibilities when it comes to the posability and the different ways that you can really play around with the figure, especially when you can join it all with the accessories that you see all around you, which I'll get to in a second. I guess the only drawback that I can think of with the articulation is because they were so busy in trying to get all the joints put into the figure and getting them just right, especially in the right positions, that I feel like they kind of narrowed down on the actual proportions of the figure. Maybe that's why the head is coming off just a little too big for me personally. Because I remember, Tom Holland, sure, he's a little bit on the young side. He's supposed to be playing just a 16, 15-year-old high schooler, as opposed to big and bulky, Thor and Captain America. But he still had some decent muscle, and I just think that there's moments where the actual mass of this figure here just feels flimsy by comparison, especially within the arm section, where I feel like I might break something, even though it never feels like I'm actually gonna break it. I just feel delicate with myself handling the figure, because the plastic just feels like it's just gonna fly off, even though I meant more in how much pressure I put on the joints and on the figure itself, as opposed to the plastic on the figure feeling flimsy, because it doesn't. The plastic is rather durable, it's rather comfortable. I just feel like, because I'm really tempted to play with so many of the articulation points, I might do something wrong, and that's only because of how skinny-ish they made Spider-Man here in S.H. Figuarts version. Alright, so let me push Spidey a little bit backwards here and start talking about the various accessories that he comes with, because, like I said, S.H. Figuarts, they spare no expense. And I love the accessories for this figure because it's been a really long time that I've seen a figure set that comes with so many little bonuses and knickknacks and doodads that complement the figure in a way that actually makes it feel like this figure has more replayable value than other recent figures that I played around with. Even some Hot Toys figures. There's moments where Hot Toys figures don't even have the amount of accessories that Figuarts kind of packed in here with Spidey. First and foremost, as you could tell from here on the side, we got a variety of hand combinations. I'll show a little bit closer detail here, but we have, I believe, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and including the ones that he has on his hands right now, 7 total pairs of hands. So 14 hands totals, ranging from the obligatory and basic fists, open hands, and of course, considering this is a Spider-Man figure, the web shooting hands. But of course, we have a variety of other hand combinations here, and to me, my favorite would have to be the Hang 10 hands that we have going on right here that are actually rather nifty. Again, the little hand formations and the amount that they included into the detail and into the ability of having him be putting on these hands so they can hold so many other things and kind of be able to toy around with the accessories and the settings that he comes packed with. That makes for usage of these hands. There's more often than not I get a figure that has so many hands and I'm like, what do I really need this for? But with Spidey, all these hands feel like they have some kind of personality. Of course, I'm not gonna go through every single one of them here in this video because we're gonna be here forever, but trust me, they're so much fun to play with. I dare say they're more fun to play with than the next two accessories. One of them is the backpack that he has from high school, and it's a nifty little backpack. I mean, it's hard plastic, doesn't really do much except kind of be there for show. My only downside with this is that on the back here we have a little peg. And basically that peg is supposed to be used to kind of put it on Peter, of course. We take this off right here, put one arm into another, kind of rotate this around the figure, clasp it together, and he'll be wearing the backpack. Unfortunately, the reason for that is because in here, inside the little Spidey symbol that he has here in the back, you're actually supposed to remove this little piece of plastic and take it out so that you can fit that peg and he'll be able to wear the backpack. I, for the life of me, cannot get that little panel out. I don't know if you're supposed to press it down and it ejects or what, but I really don't want to risk unless I can get... Oh, wait, never mind. Okay, well, never mind. Let's try it out, shall we? Because I tried it before and it wasn't working, so I'm guessing... Don't chew your nails, kids. Click that together, and then boom, he's wearing his backpack, ready to go to school. So, there you go. That's how you're supposed to do it. And it's a cool accessory. It's just that it's one that even after fixing that problem, I just don't see myself playing around with too often. And the other accessory that I kind of feel a similar way about is his cell phone. He comes with a cell phone accessory, and it's literally just a piece of plastic, honestly. It doesn't even have a design on it or like a little logo to represent that it's a cell phone. It's literally just a piece of black plastic with a slight little indentation on one side to symbolize the screen, and it's pointless except for when using the cell phone holding pair of hands and putting it in one hand and then pose him as if he's taking a selfie with the Hang 10 hand and putting him in a variety of poses like he's hanging upside down, taking a selfie or taking a photo of something, I don't know, whatever. Besides that, again, yet another accessory I do not see myself tampering with anytime soon. Now, the next few accessories I probably will be playing because they're almost just as handy as the hands you see here. And these are the little pieces of web threading that S.H. Figuarts threw in. We have a very short one right here. You can see it. I'll try to show it off in better detail in other shots and clips. That's the short one. And then we have the much larger one, but still showing to be a web being shot in mid-range. And then we have a third one here that's not so much a web being shot, but more so a web being used. And yeah, the figure just kind of lopped. I'll fix it a little bit later. But we have a web threading, and this is primarily used for web slinging poses where he's holding this in one hand and maybe he's about to shoot another one in the other, and it looks like he's flying through the sky. So both ends are almost like they've been cut by something, but they're mainly primarily used for positioning purposes. So I still think it's pretty cool that S.H. Figuarts kind of threw that in. And then the last piece of tiny little accessories, besides the giant one we're going to get to later, he's got 2 separate pairs of eyes, which is absolutely adorable. Now, it's kind of tricky to kind of get him in and out, so I don't know if I'm going to show it. Maybe I'll do like a little cutaway here, but basically what it is that he's got 2 other pairs of eyes, and they are the surprised eyes that are super, super wide, and then really narrow eyes, almost as if he's either squinting, or he's smiling, or he's, thinking dirty thoughts. Of course, the ones on his head right now are the default normal Spidey eyes, but what's kind of interesting about these is that the eyes have little pegs on them, and basically what you do is that you remove the head, you take this little utensil here, this is a little piece of plastic basically, you reach inside the head and press the eyes outward so that you can then remove them with your fingers, and then press these other eyes inside. And that's really cool because I'm definitely going to have fun being able to rotate, switch the eyes in and out, and then being able to switch the hands in and out and putting him in a variety of poses where, again, everything works together to form a personality. And I love that. And I feel like Spidey's the character to do that with. Okay, so now let's get all of this stuff out of the way. Oh my god, there's just so many stuff to keep track of. But let me just try to take off as much as I possibly can here without potentially losing anything. Here we go. Let's try to get out of here. Now let's talk about this big motherfucker we have here in the back, and that is the wall accessory that comes with S.H. Figuarts Spider-Man. And basically what this is, it's a nice little set decoration that they threw in. Some assembly, well actually a lot of assembly will be required because this wall as well as this wall not only comes separate from each other and from the base that you see here at the bottom in gray, as well as the top portion here that makes up the quote-unquote roof, but each of these pieces, as you can kind of see from the back of it, can actually be separated. From the top here, this piece right here, to this piece can be separated. And basically, the instructions show that this is how you're supposed to assemble it from the get-go. But ultimately, you can kind of make up your own little combinations of how you would like to design your own little wall set here to have your famous wall crawler crawl up against. And as you can see, there's different little holes as well as little pegs where you can kind of press little panels of the wall and kind of see if I could demonstrate here a little bit better. Right here, there's a little peg. I press it, and then here on this side, you see this little panel kind of rotates around, and you're actually able to remove that, which then creates a little section here that breaks away and a little hole. This hole can be used to either take the little Spidey sign here and peg it over there for different decoration purposes, which is of course included with S.H. Figuarts figure, to kind of showcase the little symbol that he had at the very end of Civil War, which I think he used only once in Spider-Man Homecoming when he was thwarting the original Shocker and all of them in the van, I believe. But on top of that, S.H. Figuarts, they always throw this in, if I'm not mistaken, a little translucent stand-ish arm type of thing to be able to peg it anywhere here in this decoration, in this environment, and being able to use the arm to position him in a variety of ways. And he comes with 2 little clamps here. He's got the one that has a little hook to kind of use around his, for lack of a better term, groin, and so that he's securely fastened onto this little harness. And now that's one of them. He also comes with a secondary one here, right there. And basically what this is that you're able to take these 2 little hooks and put them here so that you're pretty much creating the exact same thing, only without the little groin hook, so that you could actually position him a little bit better, kind of get his torso moved in different ways without obstructing it too much without this hook. So then you could put him in a wall crawling pose or a web slinging pose, or however it is you desire to do. So like I said, there's various panels throughout the wall where you can do that. This is just one of the various ways I was kind of being able to demonstrate. And like I said, these 3 different panels can be kind of torn away, broken away, and then put over here. You could put another one over here, and you can just toy around with that however you see fit. You just got to make sure that everything is fastened and securely placed like so. You got this piece here to kind of keep things in place, another one right here, and then of course a little ceiling part here at the top corner, which again comes with its own little hole, so that then you can put the arm inside there should you choose. That's my preferred place to put the arm, only so that then I can put him high above a wall looking on to defend New York City. At least me personally speaking. I will admit the price point is slightly intimidating, ranging at about, I think, $99.99 at Big Bad Toy Store and maybe even Sideshow and maybe even other little outlets. You might be able to find it at like the mall or something like that. But I think that in the end, you might be thinking to yourself, that was kind of worth it, because you're not just getting a 6-inch figure that I will admit could have been a little better in the proportion department, especially when you kind of consider what it would have been like if maybe this was an 8-inch figure or a 12-inch figure. But the accessories, man, the accessories more than make up for it. The quality of the actual plastics within the figure or even the accessories could be slightly improved. Leaves a few things to be desired, but overall, the functionality to them and the personality that you can kind of feel off the character by simply just the accessories that you get to use with him, and they all kind of complement with one another. It's like, wow, this is very emblematic of what he was all about in the movie, and I feel like I can kind of replicate that a little bit here in figure form, and I think they did a really good job with that. So I'm going to be giving the S.H. Figuarts Spider-Man Homecoming Spider-Man a very high 8 out of 10. A very enjoyable figure that's very well worth the money. You just gotta know of the little ticks and little qualms and nitpicks that people, myself included, might have. But besides that, I feel like if you're an avid collector and you're a humongous Spider-Man fan, especially if you were a huge fan of Spider-Man Homecoming this year, then I think you need to do yourself a service and pick this guy up. If you didn't manage to get the Hot Toys version or the NECA version or whatever, S.H. Figuarts, they got you covered. So thank you guys so much for watching this review. Please be sure to let me know what you guys thought of the figure itself or my review in the comments below. Make sure you're supported by hitting the like and share button. And of course, do not forget to subscribe for more reviews from movies to TV shows to even some figures coming very soon. Until next time, guys, see you all later. Especially when you get the majority of your minority characters and put them on a side quest mission that was, in my opinion, just a little preachy. When you got Finn, this girl Rose, who happens to be an Asian woman, and then another character who also happens to be a minority. I thought that was just the butt of a joke. And I was like, ugh, does nobody else see this?